Hello, one and all, and welcome to another week here at the Damage Report with me, John Iadarola, and surprise Monday guest, Viviana Vigil's back. Viviana, how's it going?
Hello, everyone. Surprise, I'm here.
Surprise, you're here. Jessica's off. It has been. It's been a little bit since we spoke. How have you been handling the transition into fall, the continuation of the pandemic, and all of that?
I am not happy that it's fall, although my birthday is next week, so I'm excited about that. But I really, the summer flew by. I'm excited that our COVID numbers are down a bit on the West Coast, at least.
Doing well.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my booster shot. I qualify for the booster, so I'll probably be getting that in a couple of weeks. So that'll be my good kickstart to fall, so I continue to be safe. We were talking before on the break before the show about going to the movies. I went to the movies for the first time.
What did you see?
So I saw Venom. It's very cute.
Oh, what'd you think?
I loved it. Full disclosure, hadn't seen the first one, so I don't think it's fully necessary. My 11-year-old nephew was like, "You saw Carnage first, you can't do that." And so I broke the rules, but you
probably missed so much subtext and everything.
But I think I'll see it again.
Foundation.
Yeah.
That's cool. People were telling me in the pre-show that I have to watch that, and I might. I just have this weird thing where like the non-MCU superhero stuff I'm just not generally into, but I like Tom Hardy, so I will consider it.
Tom Hardy is a good time, I'll be honest. The guy is amazing. Woody Harrelson is amazing, so you really can't go wrong with this. And the effects are great. It's a quick movie. I actually thought of you, John, oddly enough, because I think you will enjoy it. So I think your fans are right.
Okay.
Go check it out.
I will consider it. I've been busying myself recently watching Midnight Mass and Squid Game.
Yeah.
And SNL is back, which is
I haven't. Have you done anything on Damage Report about Squid Game yet?
I've talked about it a little bit. Like in the pre-show, we just talked about how he wrote it back in 2009, and it took a decade to convince the studio to take a chance on it. And now it's like the most watched Netflix thing ever.
That just gave me chills. That just gave me chills. I'm loving it. I loved it. My boyfriend's daughters ruined the ending for me, so that's fun.
No. Well, I don't even know the ending, so
yeah, don't.
I will block every person who says anything. Anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you know what? As you can. How's that?
I will. And you know what? While we are actually shockingly, we're gonna start talking about politics soon. We will be doing a pop culture related top 10 list for tier 2 and tier 3 members on YouTube after the show. Viviana will be stepping in. Thank you very much for doing that, Viviana. And we will be doing our top 10 desert island movies, what we would bring to a desert island. I'm very excited to discuss mine, and we'll have that for you if you're a tier 2 or tier 3 member on YouTube a little bit later on today. Before that though, yes, I'm still a little bit sick. I'm almost done. I swear it's almost gone, but I'm still a little bit sick. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, sharing the stream, that'd be great. And if you want to send us tweets, super chats, stuff like that, I am fairly certain we will have those and respond to them. We will see. I don't know what's going on. Oh, thank you, Marissa. I appreciate that. I knew our intern's out today. Anyway, with that said, Viviana, you ready to talk about what took place over the weekend?
I'm ready. I can't hold it any longer.
I will say this. It's a pretty fun rundown, I think. I feel like we have some fun. Some of it's not so much fun, but some of it is. And in fact,
John,
some of that to start off with.
You always make it fun, John.
I will try to. Okay, with that, let's launch directly into this video.
Okay, I'll be back.
Sit down, we want to talk to you real quick. Can we talk to you real quick?
Hi, actually, I am heading out.
Right now is a real moment that our people need in order for us to be able to talk about what's really happening. We need a Build Back Better plan right now.
We knocked on doors. We need solutions.
The Build Back Better plan has the solutions that we need.
We knocked on doors for you to get you elected. And just how we got you elected, we can get you out of office if you don't support what you promised us.
So what you're seeing there is the beginning of an encounter that unfortunate Senator Kyrsten Sinema had at ASU, where she's a lecturer at the School for Social Work. I just love that. Of all of the things she could be teaching, it's social work. Feeling some sort of obligation to right social wrongs and things like that. Anyway, people who actually care about that include Lucha Arizona, and members of that group were waiting for her when she came out of her classroom. She immediately booked it for a bathroom, and they followed her in to talk about some of the things they think she is blocking, including immigration reform, a number of other topics. And so Viviana, what do you think about this? She apparently didn't just go back to Arizona for fundraisers and glasses of champagne and hikes and things like that. She was also teaching, and they were waiting for her.
Yeah, I'm with you on the teaching. It's like, what is she teaching now? She continually is like the character from SNL we've all been waiting for. Like, she really is a real person, but she looks like a caricature of herself. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not surprised that people are upset. I'm not surprised that they are coming after her. I'm one of those people that are upset with her. I don't understand how she got into office. And here she is. And it's actually very dangerous to have somebody like her in any position of power. But I'm glad that people are taking a stand. I'm glad that people are speaking up and speaking their mind. So, it's been a tough pill to swallow every single time she talks.
Yeah, and I would say, look, there's a lot of different battles that have to happen simultaneously. The most important ones are substantive about the bills that she's blocking, which are all of them, basically, both individually, like with the reconciliation bill, and in a larger sense, she's standing against reform to the filibuster. She's fine with literally nothing passing the Senate, which sucks. But also, if she is going to be in office, and up until when we can finally kick her out, maybe this is a minor note. You do not get to have this aura of being the cool senator because you happen to be young or because you did a triathlon or something. George Bush likes to ride bikes. He killed like 1 million Iraqis. I don't give it. I've almost said it. Whew, okay, I don't care about your hobbies. I don't care about your wigs. I don't care about how much you love rosé. You are Joe Manchin. You're Marsha Blackburn. You're all of those people that are standing between people who are suffering and the help that they need. I don't care if you once ran far. But anyway, there is a debate about this particular protest, so we're gonna get into it. First, we're gonna allow the organization, Lucha Arizona, to respond. They said we wouldn't have to resort to confronting Senator Sinema around Phoenix if she took meetings with the communities that elected her. She's been completely inaccessible. We're sick of the political games. Stop playing with our lives. Build back better, back the bill. And so, yeah, she doesn't do that. She doesn't do meetings with her constituents. She doesn't answer questions. She is completely closed off, except to her donors. She does meet with them. So yes, if they have to go to a school, if they have to go to the bathroom, that is their argument for it. What do you think about the particular venue? The fact that they, especially people have a problem with the fact that they went into the bathroom with her. What do you think about that?
Well, she is full of some of those place to find her. I'll block myself out. She's full of it. So that's where you gotta go, where she's letting it loose. I don't know. She has said that she doesn't want to meet with people. She's in the social work school, but she doesn't want to meet with society. She doesn't want to meet with the people. She only wants to hear people who can line her pockets. And this is the problem with politics that everyone has on the left and the right. This is what the right accuses the left of this elitism and all of this stuff. This is what the left accuses the right of. And then this is people like Sinema and Manchin are right there, smack in the middle, playing both sides and doing a great job of it. I don't know what she has accomplished other than get a lot of press.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think yes, for her personally, in terms of actual effect on our politics, she wasn't really sent there to do things. She was sent there to stop things from being done. Remember, it's not like, and I'm saying remember to people who might not be as familiar with politics, you don't need to learn any of these lessons, but it's not like you have hundreds of millions of people who are desperate that have been left behind, and you have wealthy interests, and both of them have been dropped on an island to set up a new government. Which one's gonna win? It's already set up for those people. They don't need to play offense, they just need defense. Defense is their offense, and I find it offensive, actually. So anyway, let's talk now a little bit more about the going into the bathroom. So you had some people who argued against it on social media as strategically undercutting their message. People who I respect, like Josie Duffy Rice, who wrote, "Imagine the best headline ever. Sinema hides in bathroom for 6 hours to avoid protesters, is startled to find they are still there." That's very funny. You also had people who were more aggressively against it, like, how dare these animal leftists, saying that it's sexist because she's a woman, even though I believe the people who went in were women, or at least the vast majority were, or people trying to flip it, saying, how would you feel if crazed right-wingers followed AOC into a bathroom? And that is the sort of thing that it masquerades as adding intellectual consistency and context, but very much is not. I would ask, what are they following her to the bathroom for? If it's Ben Shapiro because he desperately wants to debate her, it's hardly the same thing. They followed Sinema in because she literally will not answer questions anywhere, and she is standing against aid in a massive variety of different forms. They came with substantive concerns. They didn't threaten her or anything like that. They said, these are the things that matter to us. I don't see right-wing protests against AOC taking that form. So let's just bear that in mind. But anyway, what do you think?
I'm not one to go into the bathroom. I think standing outside of the bathroom door would have been sufficient. But I don't blame them. And they are her constituents. She's there to speak to students. She's not speaking to students except for on the dais, and that's it. That you need a forum where there's a back and forth. You need to respond to these questions. You need to respond to your constituents. And I don't think that she should be surprised that they're cornering her. Now, personally, would I go into the bathroom? I don't like that. Personally, I don't think that's the right choice. Do I think it's illegal? Is it wrong? To me, it's not the best way to get your message across, but her messages, I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah.
She's just walking past and pushing past them. So, they got it on camera. We know she heard that. We know she's hearing this. So at least it was said, at least we have it, documented at this point, which we hadn't had before.
I'm gonna give my take, but before I give my take, let's go to the end of the interaction after she had left the bathroom, and she did wash her hands. People were asking in the chat. She then flees to a different location. You'll see that in this little clip.
Will you support the Build Back Better plan so that we can have justice and solutions that we need for immigration, labor, climate change?
Pass the bill. Build back better. 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 Pass the bill.
Okay, that's it. She just went into that room. She's not answering questions because she doesn't feel like she answers to those people, because she doesn't answer to those people. Some of them were actual volunteers for her campaign. They won't be the next time. Yeah. People are starting to learn who she is, and that's an important thing that we can contribute to. But she doesn't give a damn about any of those people. That is very clear. Now, my take on the bathroom thing is, if people with the right substantive positions, whether it's Josie Duffy Rice or people are online or Viviana or whatever, want to debate tactics and optics, let's have it. I think that's perfectly fine. If you stand with Kyrsten Sinema and you don't want the bill to exist, or if it does exist, you want it to be as small as possible, and you start talking about things that are unfair, or should we really be doing this or whatever, screw you, honestly. Like, if you stand with the people in the status quo who are already lording it over all of us, and your fundamental concern is making sure that nothing happens to that status quo that you love so much, I don't want to hear about how comfortable senators are and how we have to maintain that. And I have a little bit more to say that. I do want to give credit to Andrew Lawrence on Twitter, said, it seems like the people whose lives won't change either way think heckling Sinema is bad, and the people whose lives would change for the better think heckling Sinema is good. Exactly. And it's been said a million times before. I will say it one more time. Protest that's only acceptable until it makes powerful people uncomfortable ain't protest that's gonna matter. And think about that. Like, we're not supposed to make her briefly uncomfortable. How comfortable do you think the people are, like in that group, who've had families that have been deported because we haven't had immigration reform and she's standing against it? The people who could have made $15 an hour and are not now, how comfortable are they with their salaries? People who are burdened by student loan debt, people who desperately need elder care, people who've been sent out of their houses, who need COVID aid, all of these things. Why should they be more uncomfortable than their servant? I think that's a much more important question to ask than, is it really fair? Come on, she's trying to teach. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
John, you knocked it out of the park. That is 1,000% on the mark. They need to be uncomfortable. And like I said, personally, would I go into the bathroom? No. But I think when you are a leader.
And I wouldn't follow you there. That's my pledge.
Good. But if you're a leader, you got to expect that people are going to make you uncomfortable. You're going to expect to be heckled. You're going to expect to get a shoe thrown at you. I mean, things are going to happen because you need to answer to these people. And I really don't mind if you're uncomfortable. Personally, I wouldn't do it to you. They didn't hurt her. They didn't attack her. They didn't call her any names. They were speaking to her as calmly as they could. She was completely ignoring them. That's on her. She could have stopped. You know what? I'll speak to you as soon as I get out of the restroom.
Yeah.
She was totally disrespectful to her own people.
She didn't even pretend. Barbara Feinstein pretends better with her constituents.
She patted them on the head.
Sinema.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. She could have at least said.
Exactly. I mean, look, Feinstein might not remember the interaction 20 minutes later,
let's
but
not go there.
Okay, never mind. Anyway, 90-year-old senators need to retire. Anyway, what did I say?
Barbara. That's all right.
Oh, I was thinking of Barbara Boxer. I apologize.
Yeah, Barbara Boxer. They get there.
Well, she can't remember the name of the Green New Deal. Why should I remember her name? Anyway, with that said, let's turn to other forms of protest on Kyrsten Sinema. And let me just say, Lucia, Arizona, thank you. We're gonna be reaching out. We'd love to have a member of your organization on.
Sigue luchando.
Thank you. I don't. It sounds good. I don't know what it means, but yes, I'm sure that I agree with the spirit. In any event, let's turn to other modes of protest. Actually, we have a video for you right here.
To bring the moderates and progressives together very easy if you had 2 more votes. 2.
Okay, so that is Joe Biden calling out, kind of, Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. I mean, those are the 2 votes, or at least the 2 that will identify themselves. Let's never forget that there might be more people behind the scenes. But anyway, that is, for Biden, that's brutal.
That was pretty good.
Mentioned that they're against him. For him is something. Thankfully, there are others that are a little bit more aggressive about what they think about Sinema and Manchin and what might happen as a result of it. Let me demonstrate that in a few ways. The first is this video of Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Someone who famously came to office having primaried an out-of-touch conservative Democrat from the left. Should Sinema now be worried about a primary challenge come 2024? Do you think that needs to be talked about more as a way of reminding her that the pressure is on in an increasingly bluish state, Arizona?
Well, I think ultimately that is always up to the folks right there in the state of Arizona. Are they happy with their leadership? Their most recent senator that they had just elected is more progressive, fights very hard for working families. But that is ultimately up to the people of Arizona. It is a state that is increasingly Latino and Latina. It is a state where indigenous people really just showed up and organized in incredible, remarkable ways for the presidential election. It is a place where working class populist politics is really taking off. And I think that, if you're home in Arizona, it's a question that you may want to raise.
I love about that, John, is, what she's so right. And the Southwest is really waking up. Really still in many ways, the United States is still under colonialism and the powers of colonialism and of oppression of people of color and Native people, specifically in those states. And the more we learn, the more we are empowered about who we are, where we come from, our backgrounds, the more that the politics are going to start to change. And I see that happening not only in Arizona, New Mexico, it's happening, Texas, it's happening. We're seeing it happen all over the Southwest. And Arizona was a hard red state. Sinema, no one goes to the cinema in Arizona. Let's just say that. They go to the movies.
That's gonna be in a political ad someday. I don't know if it'll be effective, but I like it. No one goes to the cinema, man. Okay, that's good. Look, I like the tack of AOC there. It's not too aggressive, but she's right. Look, I don't know substantively. Again, we're gonna have to evaluate how likely she is to be primary and how effective it might be. There are polls showing 2/3 of Arizona Democrats would support a primary challenge if they might not individually support whoever that is. That was back in July, bear in mind. I can't imagine she's more popular now than she was in July. So just bear that in mind. She's way less popular than other Democrats. Democrats in Arizona, she has a net plus 23 approval rating among Democrats. The other senator is 53 points more positive. Biden's plus 89. So way more popular than Sinema in her own state. So bear that in mind. But we'll have to see if a protest or if a primary actually comes. I certainly hope that it does.
I find it funny that the two that are really standing in the way, Sinema and Manchin, they have these names, Sinema, and then I've already made the correlation of Manchin and a mansion. Mm-hmm. Like, do they change their names to be a little bit more hoity-toity? Like, are they really trying to be with the 1%ers? Like, what's going on with these two? I don't know. They come from money.
The attempts to combine their names, like Sinemanchin, Mancina. I'm not loving them necessarily, but anyway.
I would be embarrassed if I was Manchin to be associated with Sinema. I mean, they're both equally vile in their own way, but she's just like a caricature. I just can't.
I think they could both do better, honestly. Anyway, so the pressure continues in other forms too. Pramila Jayapal, after a good week of keeping the Progressive Caucus unified, and they did what they said they would do, continued with that over the weekend, saying that the $1.5 trillion figure for the economic bill was too small. She wouldn't say whether she would accept a $2.1 trillion price tag, which scares me quite a bit. Anyway, but she said that's not going to happen on the 1.5. That's too small to get our priorities in. It's going to be somewhere between 1.5 and 3.5. And I think the White House is working on that right now because remember, what we want to do is deliver childcare, paid leave, climate change, housing. There's a lot of priorities. I don't want to see between 1.5 and 3.5 personally. Let's keep that lower figure way higher. Yeah. But
we have so much to do. It's really upsetting, especially in the wake of this economic crisis with COVID. I mean, we need this infrastructure. We need this stuff passed. We need childcare. We need all this stuff happening. And we haven't even seen the effects of it yet. So if we don't get this passed, next year, it's gonna be real rough times for a lot of families.
Yeah, and when you look at how long it's taken to pass this, are they literally gonna pass 0 bills next year? It feels like that might happen. We'll have to see. I guess they get their reconciliation bill next year. We'll see what they do with that in the month before an election. I'm sure they'll be quite bold.
They'll go on vacation.
Anyway, yeah, probably. Well, she certainly will, whether they do or not. Now, I also want to talk a little bit briefly about the popular conception of Manchin and Sinema, what they think about them, because there has for a long time been a lot of free PR, just sort of ambient social PR for moderates and centrists. I would take both of those words, bundle them up, throw them in the sun. But anyway, that is cracking a little bit. Don Lemon had his little thing with Chris Cuomo calling them Republicans in the Democratic Party. I like that for Don Lemon to say that. I think that's good.
Pretty good.
Over the weekend, John Oliver did a great segment on the two of them. I'm a big fan of John Oliver. I don't like that he called them moderates. I think he needs to wake up to that being a complete fiction. But I'm glad that he's pushing back. Whether they kill this bill or not, let's not let them get through this year without everyone in their state knowing who they are. And even SNL, as I predicted earlier that day, you did have Kirsten Sinema. Cecily Strong did a great Kirsten Sinema.
Great.
If I could critique, and I know most of you come here for a comedy critique from me, they went with the like agent of chaos angle, which Cecily Strong plays very well. She did the same thing with her Tulsi Gabbard a couple years ago. They didn't talk about why she's doing it, which is because she's there for the donors. There was no corruption. There was no donors. It was just, I don't need to have friends. And it was very well acted, but substantively I had an issue with it. And I continue to hate their portrayal of AOC. But anyway, I hope that the tide is turning, Viviana. I hope that people know who they are and they can see past. I think
that's an important point though, John, about SNL, because I think it really, and then you're talking about, just media in general and how they're painting this picture, but we have to keep in mind who's behind SNL, who's behind all of these shows. And so the whole Democratic Party is full of moderate. So what's Sinema? She's not a moderate. They're all moderate. AOC's the left, and she's actually probably, her and Bernie are what Democrats should be. So they're not gonna be too hard on them. They're gonna make fun of them because it's fun. But substantive, they're not going to go there. They're not going to go there because people don't want to hear it, and people don't really know all that you know, John. And they're not gonna. They just want the surface fluff, and that's kind of probably why we've gotten into this mess with Facebook and social media. Is people only want the surface, and we need to be substantive. We need to get down in the dirts, in the roots, in the dirt and the roots.
There's multiple dirts. But anyway, and that's not if Cecily Strong is watching this, and I hope to God she is. It's not a critique of you. Great performance.
No, but comedians say that she does a great job and she's hilarious. But like they're gonna say, well, my job's not to educate people on whatever.
Well, and also I doubt she wrote the sketch. Like I'm sure she was. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, with that, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna have a little bit more on this for two reasons. One, it's fun, and two, it's the most important policy thing that's happening right now. We're gonna have the defenders of Manchin and Sinema. We're gonna give them their day in court after this. I don't know if it's because I'm mostly less congested or because of Viviana, but I'm having a lot of fun in this show. I hope everyone watching is having fun.
Aw, thanks, John. I hope it's me and not your mucus.
I think it's mostly you. It's 70% you, 30% lack of mucus. By the way, someone in the chat said they didn't like the new guy playing Biden. I thought he was fine. Did you watch that?
I didn't get to see that. No, I just saw.
You saw what?
I just saw a small snippet on my phone this morning. I was driving, I was babysitting, so
Yeah. I was very much worried that they were going to lose several good people, and they didn't. But they did lose this guy Beck Bennett, who's like their straight man. He's very talented. He's gone. They desperately need someone like that. And anyway, I thought that of the new people, this guy came on pretty strong. I thought he was pretty good. But anyway,
if they need a new Trump, I mean, I think you should audition because your Trump is pretty good.
Thank you. Well, I've heard actually that guy does a very good Trump. We'll have to.
Okay, good.
Anyway, we got a lot of super chats. Franklin Sharpslicer says, "Hey, Kirsten, we have a wrinkle. What that you have to tinkle while you are getting stona. What about your vote in constituents in Arizona? 1 for yes, 2 for no. You sure you have to go? Oh my God." Franklin.
I love it.
Franklin. Someone in the chat
one flush for yes.
Give
us a courtesy flush at least.
Oh my God. Someone said it's wrong to block her path to the bathroom when she's so full of ass.
We gotta let it loose.
Okay. Joe Willis says, after a much needed week off work and spent in the 7 national parks, I'm excited to be back with my Dragon Squad. Tell me all the news, Dragon Daddy. I will. Wait, did you go to 7 national parks in 1 week? How did you do that? But we're glad to have you back. Jason, pronounced Jason, says, I was at the Women's March on Saturday in Phoenix and a couple of speakers called out Sinema for not being at the Women's March. She can't even do the arguably maybe just performative stuff like a politician showing up at one of those. She can't even do that. Anyway. Richard Rose said, I think one may have failed as a pick servant if one cannot go into the public without following Zombieland rules. That's funny. Okay, Kirstie L says, John, what do we need to do to get a new intro? Tired of 45's ugly mug. Keep up the great work. Thank you. I know.
Oh, okay.
You gotta replace the intro.
You worked very hard on that intro, John. So I don't blame you. Wanted to hold on to it.
It's a template I bought online, but I did put all the stuff into it. I can do it on the weekend. That's the only time I have the time. But do you know what I'm not doing on the weekend?
Enjoying your family?
This. I go on bike rides at the beach. I write about mice. I do stuff like that anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, Sailor Digaran says, John, how sure are you that Venom isn't an MCU movie? Also, while I'm not mad about Viviana, why no Fantastic Monday? Life intervenes. She's got stuff she gotta do.
She's a busy lady.
She is. YVNGKXNG says, John, you have to see Venom post-credit. Don't tell me what it is, Viviana. Were the post-credits cool?
I stayed and I watched. I'm not saying anything, but there is a little Easter egg. Oh yeah. And let me just say, the little teenagers I was with were like, oh my God, does that mean this? Does that mean that? And I'm like, okay.
Oh no, but I don't.
Just go. It's 90 minutes of fun. Come on.
Okay, I like fun.
Come on.
I like fun. Okay, let's see. 14 seconds. Jess freaking Kreider, hey Jess, hit 13 months on Twitch. Yay, nowhere else I would rather spend my time in Bezos Bucks. I'm a TDR and the Dragon Squad. Thank you, much appreciated. We've got other messages to read, but first, more news. Someone says, Bamarator says, come on, John, think of your constituents, new intro. Exactly, I'm about as
responsible. Follow you in the bathroom, John, you better change that intro.
Exactly. Build the intro. The intro. Anyway, thank you everybody for being here. We've got a little bit more on the moderates. They have their defenders, as you'll see in this video.
Kyrsten Sinema and John Manchin, they're the two Democrats who are holding up, and they're mad at them because they're not progressive enough, forgetting that they only got elected because they're not progressive, because they're moderates. Here's my question. Does spending more money make you a better person or a bigger moderate? And maybe these two, Sinema and Manchin, do they might have their thumb more on the pulse of the average Democrat in the country?
Okay, so that is Bill Maher, who I'm sure if you hooked him up to a lie detector and you asked him, you're a progressive, right? He would say that he is. But yeah. I will ask you to watch the show and see if you can maintain.
He's been a Republican for 10 years, John. This guy.
Look, I think he's like Manchin, Sinema. I think he's a conservative Democrat. I think that a lot has changed since the 90s. I think that he has changed. I think more importantly, the country has changed. Yep. And that's fine, but recognize what you are. That's all I would expect out of a show like that. But he does like Manchin and Sinema, apparently.
Yeah, he's been wrong for a long time. I stopped watching him a long time ago. The guy has a very bad reputation. I won't say too much, but he's not the nicest guy, according to people that have been close to him. And his politics are very with the wind. And I honestly think he's more libertarian.
Yeah. I think a lot of rich people are. They get the money, they want to keep it. That makes sense.
Why don't you just take care of yourself? What's wrong with that?
Exactly. No, but the issue isn't just that maybe he's not a leftist. So I want you can play back what he said. Think this job, I will acknowledge, is a lot easier than most jobs. It has very little that's expected of you. But one thing that is expected is that you think the bare minimum about the things that you say and add something to the discourse. That is ideally what you should do. He said they think it's too much money. Is that really what they think? They have accountants issues with it? That's not that's a version of what's true. But again, they're delivering for their donors. He knows about money in politics, but he completely forgets it on his show. He says, does spending more money really make you more moral? That's where we just get into, that's just a conservative, I don't want the government to spend money because it might result in taxes thing. So he is expressing his own self-interest, his own financial self-interest, and not identifying it there. He's just a rich guy, basically, but he won't say that. And then he says, they only got elected because they're moderates. Is that how Kyrsten Sinema got elected? Because she pretended to be a progressive, she pretended to be a leftist, she played up being in the Green Party formerly and stuff like that. She wouldn't have you believe that's why she got elected. And then finally, is it possible they have more of a finger on the pulse of the country? I don't know, Google a poll, Bill Maher. The bill that they're opposing has at least 2/3, if not 3/4 public approval. This is not a hypothetical. No. Polling exists. We can find out what the people actually think about this stuff. But again, this guy that gets paid millions of dollars to understand politics and discuss it online, it's just all hypothetical. Who's to say what's popular? Maybe what lines up with my own interest is popular. Wouldn't that be a nice world to live in?
He has mentioned before that he's rich and he recognizes, paying taxes and he could be against this and that. I've heard him say it. But and in some ways, for me, were they elected because they're moderate? Not by the constituent. They were elected. Being a moderate was a fan because of the donors and because of the money flow. And this is what we need to get away from. And that's what he should be talking about. The fact that money is even taking a place in why we're voting for people. That is the problem with politics in this country. And he should have been identifying it in that way and not is it so wrong? Is capitalism so bad? Is it always bad? He's in that zone when he really should be saying, wait a minute, we're going down this really bad path where Money is making the decisions, and that's what needs to stop. And like you said, he's too much. This guy's done. He needs to be retired. He hasn't been on point.
Just enjoy your mansions. Go on a yacht and
go to mansion, and you guys go to the cinema with Sinema.
Yeah, and even like you could add something. And look, I'm gonna criticize. I said earlier in the show, I wish John Oliver had done this. When you say they got elected because they're moderates, okay, in the case of Joe Manchin, you might have an argument there. You talk to some poor people in West Virginia, and they do use that terminology. But why? Like there is a conversation to be had about the like cumulative effect of decades of media telling people that a certain type of bipartisanship is good and necessary, that moderate means one thing when you can literally be a moderate Republican or a moderate Democrat that believe like starkly opposite things. You could actually try to deconstruct why so many Americans vote against their own economic interests. You could do that, but he doesn't do that.
No. That's what he should be doing. You're exactly right. That's what that conversation, that's what your monologue should have been, bro. What are you doing over here? He's just dialing it in. He has been for a while. And I foresee that show ending soon, personally.
Yeah, and if people love moderates so much, why is such a high percentage of their donations come from corporate PACs and things like that? Why aren't regular people lining up?
That's who loves the moderates, though.
Yeah, that's true. Well, look, for Manchin and Sinema, Bill Maher might be one of their most high-profile supporters, but he's not the only one. And if you can judge people by the company they keep, here are a couple of other people defending them recently. One is, Stephen Miller. Yep, he tweeted, an illegal alien is stalking a US senator, this is the bathroom thing, to demand passage of Biden's reconciliation bill because it includes mass amnesty for illegals. In a functioning democracy, ICE would swiftly deport this person, but under Biden's new edict, as the lawbreaker knows, she's immune from removal. So he thinks it's unfair that this illegal is bothering a senator. And if it was up to him, and unfortunately for years it was, that protester would have been immediately deported from the country. So that's a nice buddy for you, Sinema.
Yeah, that's someone you want to be standing on the same team with on Squid Game.
Exactly. Yeah, if only so you can get behind them and push them off something. But anyway, we do have one continued supporter of Kyrsten Sinema. This is not new, but Meghan McCain, big fan. Describe the protesters. Oh, so right there you see that this is what we've shown this previously. This is from like a week ago. It's just Kyrsten Sinema appreciation tweet from Meghan McCain. That's all. That's it. And a stupid gif of some cacti. Anyway, she called the protesters following her into the bathroom, quote, as toxically intolerant as the Trump regime. Yeah, I mean, if you told me we're gonna deport everyone that you know, ban an entire religion, or follow you to the bathroom, I wouldn't know which to pick. They're equally toxic.
Wow.
But anyway, and in terms of like, if we have a theme of people who should be willing to look a little bit deeper into politics, and that's what they're paid to do, but they don't do it anyway. She had previously tweeted in support of Kyrsten Sinema back in June of this year. Same journalists and pundits who go out of their way to bring up my dad and applaud him for his maverick ways are sure spending a lot of energy ripping apart and defaming Kyrsten Sinema for being a maverick against her own party. No attempt at intellectual consistency anywhere.
She said maverick. She's a maverick.
She's a maverick. So that's critique or context for people with perfectly spherical, smooth brains. Maybe there's something other than being a maverick that we're differentiating. Maybe if your dad doesn't go along with defunding the ACA, which is a popular and necessary policy, that time he was a maverick is a good thing. When she stands against wildly popular legislation that the president got into office campaigning on, that's not as good a time of being a maverick.
That's my thing.
Just being a renegade. That is such brain stupidity.
What makes you a maverick is having the integrity behind it. This woman has no integrity. She doesn't believe in anything. Whoever gives her money, that's what she says. That's not a maverick. That's a mouthpiece. And Meghan McCain has her hair combed far too back, and I got too excited, John. Meghan McCain's hair is slicked back so far, they have smoothed out the wrinkles in her brain. I can't with that woman either. I'm not surprised that they're friends. They would get along famously.
I'm sure that they do. They probably go to the same wine mixers and things like that. But anyway, finally, one more tweet.
Rosé all day.
Rose all day. That's, no policy considerations, just vibes. Anyway, if you are watching this and you like Sinema, first of all, why? Second of all, I want you to understand that Meghan McCain being her friend isn't like this awesome alliance of mavericks, okay? No. She retweeted this tweet from Comfortably Smug that says, felt cute, might delete Biden's agenda later, retweeting a photo of Sinema. So I want you to understand what the goal is. Yes, Meghan McCain might have criticized Trump on a couple of the surface level things. She wants Biden to fail and not accomplish anything because, like Bill Maher, Meghan McCain is just a rich person. That's all she is. I don't care about her policies beyond that. Her loyalty is to her class, and her class is situated above us.
I'll go as far to say that she's not even on Bill Maher's level because at least Bill Maher earned where he's at. She's just the daughter of a politician. So sorry, you didn't do anything to get where you are. You didn't earn any of it. You just sat there, and I won't even say looked pretty, but I guess that's part of it.
Feel free.
Subjectively.
Okay. Okay, you know what? We're going to take a break to, like at a wine tasting, get the taste of that out of our mouth. And so we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about the Pandora Papers leaks, as well as a whole bunch of fun stuff. So stick around, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so let's see what's going on out there in the audience. Oh no, Franklin Sharp Slicer has another super chat. He says, hey Joe Manchin, I'm sending this remote. Your yacht looks a castle, the water is your moat. All the knaves are paddling like mad. Please vote, your highness, or we'll all be sad.
Yeah.
That is so much. It would take me 45 minutes to come up with something that probably wouldn't be as good as that. That is just great, Frank.
It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Suspicious Pergola says, I love that name, says, Sparkanish had a segment on CNN about how we need to praise Sinema and Manchin and not criticize them. Nah.
Oh, wow.
We just need to make them feel loved and accepted, and then they'll give us scraps from their table.
Smirkanish is funded by the same donor for Sinema. It's the same person.
Moondragon says, happy birthday to Kathy Harvey. Wait, is it Kathy Harvey's birthday out there? Happy birthday, Kathy Harvey. Let me be the second to say it. Thank you for being with us on your birthday. Vanta Dragon, thank you for your super chat. Domino Dent says, Manchin and Sinema are exactly who MLK warned of. I mean, he even explicitly warned of the white moderate. And so that's the title they want to have. I guess we can give it to them. Anyway, thank you to all of you over on Twitch who participated in the hype train. It was complete at level 4 with 18 gift subs, 1,030 bits. We'll be calling out some of the individuals who contributed to that, but thank you very much for it. Fat guy named Tiny subscribed for 7 months on Twitch, says 7 months already. We are officially in the final trimester with this TYT Twitch baby. Thank you, it's an exciting time. Insomnia Noir hit 9 months, says huzzah, my dragon baby has been hatched. 9 months on the Bezos bucks. Thanks John and crew from Neurodivergent Dragon. Thank you, appreciate you being here. I can already feel my throat starting to give out. That's good in advance of a long day in which I'm gonna be leading the first hour of the Young Turks with Cenk.
Oh no, drink some tea.
Oh, by the way, while I'm mentioning that, let me also say, so I'm gonna be doing the first hour with Cenk Uygur. Someone awesome is gonna be doing the second. Anna Kasparian is out, I believe, for this week, taking much deserved vacation time. But there are also some other exciting things coming up. Tomorrow, Senator Nina Turner is gonna join me as co-host of the Damage Report.
What? That is so cool, John.
Viviana, she's done it a couple times now.
What? I'm watching.
She's doing it.
I love it.
We've had a lot of fun. We did the power panel together last Friday. Yes, so a lot of fun with her there. Also, on Mondays, you have Old School. I don't have the time listed here, but it's after the main show. Stay tuned, they have a lot of fun there. So that'll be coming up as always as well. Okay, back to Twitch. Keep your as home. Hit 6 months, has been a viewer of TYT since 2015, member on and off. Now I'm a tier 1 subscriber for 6 months on Twitch. Well, thank you for being here, regardless of what form it comes in. We appreciate you being here. Husky One Dragon hit 10 months, says left needs to start taking control of the conversations and present everything as a national security risk, which most of our concerns can legitimately be described as such. It's a good point. I mean, a lot of what's in that reconciliation bill has a lot more to do with protecting your life and welfare and quality of life, much more than anything that's been in the defense bill anytime recently. Okay, Fritters hit 6 months. Thank you very much. Lucinda hit 12, said, woohoo, made it a year on Twitch. You did, and you made it with us. Thank you for that. Eatwood Mac hit 15 months. Says, y'all, I love you so much. Yay for Viviana Monday. Viviana Mondays are great Mondays. And Batman hit 8 months, says, John Rashad worth a subscription. Hard to watch Uncle Thumb on the main show anymore, but I'll stay for the Dragon Squad. I don't know about the thumb. I don't know what that is, but thank you. Rashad is great. Anyway, we'll be back. Okay, everybody. I'm very glad that my throat decided to give out as we launch into the most graphics and reading heavy segment.
Let me know if you need me to pick up any slack, John.
You want to read them? You can read them. How about this? How about this? So you got the doc open?
Yes, I do.
Did you see where it says some specifics?
Pull it up.
At some point, I'm going to throw to you to start giving us some specifics. I'd appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I'm ready.
But with that said, let's launch into this thing. In the wake of things like the Panama Papers and others, we have the Pandora Papers investigation, what's called the world's largest ever journalistic collaboration involving more than 600 journalists from 150 media outlets in 117 countries. A lot of interesting stuff has come about as a result of this. The first and foremost is I'm shocked to find out there are still 600 journalists. So good news for us to start off the week with, but also it revealed a lot of the financial shenanigans of our world's elites, both on the financial side as well as the ruling class of a number of different countries. So they've got details on more than 29,000 offshore bank accounts, over twice the number that were exposed 5 years ago by the Panama Papers. I will just remind you, by the way, that while the Panama Papers obviously revealed a lot financially, it also revealed the strike back against journalism. Google some of the violence against people involved in the Panama Papers leaks. So if you are one of those 600 journalists, stay safe, because these people have a lot of money and a lot of power and they don't like when these things are revealed. But the investigation exposes the secret offshore affairs of 35 world leaders. That is amazing. Current and former presidents, prime ministers, and heads of state, as well as the secret finances of more than 300 other public officials like government ministers, judges, mayors, and military generals in more than 90 countries, as well as more than 100 billionaires that feature, which includes celebrities, rock stars, and business leaders, many using shell companies to hold luxury items like property and yachts. Hey, Joe Manchin, as well as incognito bank accounts, even art like looted Cambodian antiquities to paintings by Picasso and murals by Banksy. So hey, some modern stuff there. So Viviana, if you have any thoughts about the investigation finally being revealed, feel free to let us know. And at some point, if you want to let us know some of the specifics, I'd love to hear them.
I mean, I'm with you with those journalists. I mean, God bless them. That's really scary that they're putting themselves out there. But sorry for the sirens.
They're coming for the journalists.
Cue the sirens. Some specifics are King Abdullah II, who rules Jordan. He spent more than 100 million on lavish properties in the US, who's his realtor, and in Europe, while his country fell deeper into political turmoil. The Washington Post reported that.
Let's start there. Mm-hmm. So, and the reason is what he's doing with it, which is buying up all this property. And look, this is like the barest surface of these papers. You can find out much more online, and more will be coming out. But this is one of the things that I expect is setting Anna Kasparian's hair on fire today, which is a lot of it is real estate speculation and hoarding of property in the United States. That is a problem that we've been talking about for some time. This is not the only thing that's leading to it, but this is one of these. These are wealthy elites hiding their wealth in other countries by buying up property here. And if there's a consequence that you can't ever buy a home as a result of that, well, omelets, eggs, all of that.
Yeah, too bad that's the case. Also, a woman suspected of being in a years-long relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin became the owner of a pricey Monaco apartment just days after reportedly giving birth to his child. Coincidence? Ukrainian president.
The nice feather in her cap.
I wouldn't want to get that feather. The Ukrainian president Volodymyr, I can't say that one, Volodymyr Zelensky, say it, John.
Volodymyr Zelensky. I think.
Zelensky, who was elected in 2019 on a pledge to clean up his country's notoriously corrupt and oligarch-influenced economy, is also named in the leak. During the campaign, Zelensky retransferred 25% of his stake in an offshore company to a close friend who now works as the president's top advisor, the file suggests.
That's probably a gift. He's probably just giving him a nice gift for all
25, just 25% of the stake.
It's like a gift card to Chili's. You just, it's like, hey, job well done. This
one really hurt, John. In Kenya, the president Uhuru Kenyatta, he's portrayed himself as the enemy of corruption. In 2018, Kenyatta told the BBC that every public servant's assets must be declared publicly so that people can question and ask what is legitimate. Well, according to the ICIJ, Kenyatta's family has been accumulating a fortune in offshore tax havens for decades. And the Pandora Papers show the family owned at least 7 entities based in the British Virgin Islands and in Panama, 2 well-known tax havens, of course. And the ICIJ said that the offshore businesses have assets worth more than $30 million.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about corruption. The reason you have corruption is because there's a temptation to make money. If you take all of the money and you send it to an offshore bank account, there will be no temptation left for the elites in your country. I guess that's the strategy. But that is very much one of the things. I'm so glad that world leaders are included in this. They are, not all of them claim to be fighters of corruption, although you have Zelensky and you have Kenyatta. Hopefully the people in their country get that message. Unfortunately, many of them live in countries that don't have free and fair elections. So even if they know what the leaders are up to, they can't necessarily do anything about it. Others like Putin, they ain't claiming to be anything other than what they are. But like when you just have Putin's kid and you get a Monaco apartment, and I read assets worth $100 million. Just this mistress got. Like you think about how much money they have and how free they are with it. Like we don't have all the details, but I have read that there's beliefs that Putin might well be the richest person in the world, but much of it hidden. There's a lot of that going around in a lot of different countries spread across the world. One thing I noticed though, and I don't know if you noticed this, where's the US people?
Yeah, they're hidden.
We got all these celebrities, we got these leaders, where are they? Now there's speculation. If we want to jump ahead of the last graphic just for a second, there's speculation that because we have such low tax rates here and there's so many loopholes, they don't really need to use tax havens to the same extent because the US is basically a tax haven. That's part of it, but there's a lot of, other than just the tax havens, there's a lot of shady behavior that definitely our billionaires are engaging in. And it just seems like these leaks often don't touch that. I find that very frustrating.
It might have something to do with the fear that the journalists have, and it might be who's really spurring this Pandora Papers, maybe it's coming from inside the house and we want to point our finger elsewhere so that we can look like we're okay over here in the USA. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, John. Shall I continue?
Yeah, you want to read at least the UK one, yeah.
Okay, so former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair and his wife, Cherie Blair, they avoided paying $312,000, I guess that's 423,000 US money in stamp duty, a tax on property purchases when they bought a townhouse in London. The BBC reported that. The building now houses Cherie Blair's law firm. So they, went ahead and did that tax-free.
That's nice.
That's okay.
A lot of perks when you're wealthy.
In London. But that's nice.
I just love what they can get away with, these like the entire budget of some countries in these transactions.
Can I just say that 423,000 for a townhouse sounds actually like a really good deal. Like, do I need to move to London? Like that sounds like I could maybe live there.
I don't know what the exchange rate is these days.
No, that was the exchange.
That actually sounds pretty, in London?
That's what I'm saying. Is this accurate? Or maybe it was, I don't know if these are the right numbers, but.
Saddle up, governor. John's going to the island.
Pip, pip, let's go.
Pip, pip, hooray, or whatever. Yes, I'm gonna have to do that. Anyway, look, we're gonna be talking more about this on the main show today, and there is way more to be revealed from this, but I hope that you look into it. Super significant. These sorts of revelations are always an opportunity for us to actually do something to change the laws. We basically always get through these without that actually happening, but you never know. Maybe this will be the time that the US at the least changes its laws, which contribute to a lot of this. That said, production team, to close out the hour, I don't know if you saw my message, but if we could skip to the E block, that's good. Okay, we can do that. Then let's jump into the video.
So working on the Cabbage Patch Factory. So no wonder Dr. Fauci's about to cancel Christmas. We're not going to have any presents anyway, so it's going to really work out. Well, by the way, let's just clamp down on those college students.
Dr. Seuss with the Grinch, right? Dr. Fauci,
right?
Dr. Seuss, not a real doctor, but he does seem smart.
And he was canceled,
right?
Okay, so I made you watch that video because I had to watch that video. It is 16 seconds long, and I think they use 16 stupid baby brain buzzwords. They just fit in everything. I don't think they said critical race theory or trans athletes, but maybe in the next couple of seconds they fit it in. So Fauci stole Christmas, something Dr. Seuss, there's no presents. The war on Christmas has begun. Like pumpkin spice lattes, it just comes earlier every year. It's the first week of October and they're talking about the war on Christmas, Viviana. And not just them, Newsmax is doing it too.
I think I need to start watching that show because that made me laugh out loud.
Anyway,
and Dr. Seuss was canceled, don't forget.
He wasn't canceled. The publisher decided for purely financial reasons to stop selling books that I guarantee no one here has heard of.
No.
Anyway, there's a lot of nonsense going around. That's 16 seconds. We're gonna give you a slightly longer video in a second. I just want you to think, if you watched hours of Fox every day, how do you maintain a brain in a mostly solid state when you listen to stuff like that, or you listen to stuff like this from Marsha Blackburn?
Maria, we know that the Build Back Better agenda has become the Biden Build Back Broke agenda. And the American people have figured out that what they're trying to do is institutionalize socialism. They're trying to do a takeover of the country in one vote. They want government control of your kids. They want to look at your bank account for every transaction over $600. Anything that you do on Venmo and PayPal, they want a part of that transaction. They want government control of health care. They want to demoralize the military, close the churches, destroy your faith in the American system. And then here they're going to come with the socialist program to run your life from cradle to grave, daylight to dark.
Unbelievable.
They're gonna punt your puppy, they're gonna eat your cereal, they're gonna do all those things, really. I thought Biden was sleepy. Anyway, super quick final thoughts.
Oh man, I didn't know they were gonna rip my faith out of my chest. That's crazy. Who knew?
They're literally closing down the churches in the same bill that institutionalizes socialism. It's a lot. So
people are believing this, though. It's scary. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
Millions, unfortunately, believe it. And that's, you watch that for a few hours, you too can become a crazy person.
Yeah.
Anyway, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for our first hour. Thank you, everybody who joined us on our linear platforms. If you are on Twitch or on YouTube, Members app, all that stuff, we got way more coming, including Trump launching the first attack against Ron DeSantis. We've got Karens, we've got a bunch of stuff. You're not gonna wanna miss it. We'll be back after a short break.
Thanks for having me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show with me, John Iadarola, and much more importantly, Viviana. I've been having so much fun.
Yes,
thank you for being
it's been a
here.
fun show. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you here. Great to have all of you here. Thank you. We do have some more stories for you, but briefly before that, I did want to remind you of a couple different things you can do if you want to show support for members of our community here. One is that Dr. Rashad Ritchie is up for Best TV Anchor in Atlanta Magazine's Best of Atlanta 2021, recognizing his work on Indisputable. You can help him win that by going to tyt.com/Rashad and then writing in his name, Rashad Ritchie, and submitting your vote, which you can do once per day, every day until October 11th. I have a feeling he is probably a shoo-in, but let's put him over the line if we can. Also, just a reminder, on Friday, I talked about our awesome Edwin on the show, who does behind the scenes stuff and is also a great photographer outside of TYT. He's engaged in a competition. We gave you a link to help him out in that competition. If you did that then, you can do that every day. So maybe do that again as well. Also, by the way, Indisputable will be coming up right after our show. As always, you can go to twitch.tv/TYT or you can go to youtube.com/indisputable_TYT. And Caroline Johnson is going to be joining as co-host. Daniel DiMartino will be on for debate. So it should be a lot of fun. With that said, let's read a couple of your messages. Kathy Harvey says, thanks for the birthday shout outs. Born in the year of the dragon. That's a good sign to be born in her. Thank you. Thank you for being here and happy birthday. Bernie the Kiwi Dragon says, so John, are you saying it's a bad idea to name my chain movie theaters Manchin Cinemas? Get yourself some honey and lemon if you haven't already. A warm hello to Viviana too. Thank you.
I love it.
That is great. Claudius Draconis Maximus says, Arizona here, hate cinema, hate Meghan. Thank you. You're probably in good company then.
Yeah.
Kat Givens says, mom watches Fox. She believes they're crap. She refuses to fact check anything. Glad we got her and dad's COVID shots before Fox politicized it. She's 86 and he's 92. Oh, thank God that they got it. By the way, in relation to a question that Viviana asked in the last block, Chris Frederick says King Abdullah goes through the Property Brothers. Probably. I assume that's what it was. I haven't seen him on Fixer Upper. Anyway, okay, with that, we do have a lot more news, so why don't we get spicy? For a couple of months now, we've been speculating about the possibility that Donald Trump, if he does decide to run for president again, which he certainly seems like he's going to, facing opposition, not just from like his son, but another popular Republican like Ron DeSantis, who is popular in Florida, despite throwing tens of thousands of them needlessly into early graves because he didn't care to do anything about COVID. There are some polls showing that things might be kind of close between them if it does come down to the two. Now, up until this point, Trump has not responded to this possibility, but that has now changed. He had an interview with Yahoo News, and he said, if I faced him, I'd beat him like I would beat everyone else. I don't think I will face him. I think most people would drop out. I think he would drop out. So he is not just saying that he would whoop up on Ron DeSantis, but that he would get Ron DeSantis to drop out or presumably to never announce. Now, Ron DeSantis is obviously an ambitious politician who cares about his own edification, his own future more than the lives of his constituents. He has been very deferential to Trump in the past, not just during the pandemic, but you might recall he released to become governor one of the cringiest campaign ads ever, where he is literally teaching his son how to read by reading him quotes from Donald Trump and building a wall out of little blocks. It's just the most pathetic thing. But Viviana, what do you think about this? If it comes down to would DeSantis actually run against Trump?
I mean, I think Trump is going to face more opposition than just that. I think his own health is going to be in opposition to him. I mean, we got a few more years ahead of him, so he's got to take that into consideration. And I don't know, these egos, they're pretty big, both of these egos. I do think if Trump is still holding some power when it comes down to it between him and DeSantis, I think DeSantis will kowtow.
Yeah, I think, look, I think Trump is going to decide if he wants to do it. And I don't, like, even if his health is really bad, which we'll get into more, I think he just wants to be the spotlight. I think that his approval rating, or not necessarily his approval rating, but when you ask Republicans, do you want him to run for president? It has gone down quite a bit this year. And I think a lot of that is just due to he's not around.
Yeah.
Like, sure, he's doing his rallies kind of, but they don't get the coverage that they did. He's not in the news because he's not president. He's literally not on Twitter, but who is on all those things? Well, Ron DeSantis is around. You hear about Ron DeSantis, most of it bad, but you do hear about him. I think Trump is desperate to be back in it. DeSantis, I think, is just gonna see if he thinks he can win, he'll go. But it really is gonna come down to how popular Trump still is. DeSantis does not want to taint himself in the eyes of the Trump base by turning against Trump if he's just gonna lose anyway. But we do know that Wall Street heavily favors DeSantis over Trump because he's seen as a more reliable deliverer of what they want. They're talking about potentially, they've already been giving him a lot of money this year. They might back him if he challenges Trump. It's a lot of factors. What do you, when it comes to the Trump base, they still seem loyal to him. What Republican would be willing to potentially have them turn against him? Like, those same people like DeSantis now. would they if he ran against Trump?
Let's keep in mind what this system is based on: money. So where the money goes, that's where it's going to go. I'm going to ask you this: do you think Trump needs Twitter to win, or to even still be relevant?
Got Facebook. I think that Twitter. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that Twitter might have indicated. My gut is that if he was to run again, they would reinstate him. But I mean, they did kick him off while he was still technically president. I mean, he wasn't going to be president for much longer. Do you think that Twitter would reinstate him? And how important do you think it is to his run if he runs again?
I actually think he needs it. I think he needs it. It goes back to what we were talking about with SNL and everything being superficial. Like his base, especially, they're not deep. They're not reading the Wall Street Journal. They need Twitter. They need that to have that contact with him. They need that to feel close with him, because that's all that he offers, is that frat boy mentality of you're my friend. Once he loses that connection, I don't think he's gonna have that same tactile control of his audience that he had before. So it's gonna be very interesting.
Direct,
yeah. I mean, that is what made him who he is in politics, having that direct line. And what the people in power got from Trump being in office has already been done. So do they need him anymore? Or can they now move forward without him, with people like DeSantis and other disgusting Republicans that are willing to throw dead bodies on the fire just for their own benefit? And when that money gets lined in the right politicians' pockets who have that political power to vote, because Trump really doesn't have the political power anymore. If his own cronies are now going to run against him, how much power does he really have? They don't need him. They're the ones voting.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's going to be a test of is all of his supposed strength like a glass shield? Like it looks scary, but if everyone would just turn against him, they might beat him. I don't know. I do wonder.
I mean, he's not even in the news anymore. I mean, people are not even talking about him. I mean, these forever Trumpers.
And Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSantis, he knows how to demonize critical race theory and trans students. Like they can deliver all of the horrendous hatred and fear of a Donald Trump, but they also might accomplish more of what rich conservatives want once he becomes president. Maybe. I do wonder.
If Trump doesn't have the ability to be best buddies through Twitter and social media, that direct connection with the regular schmoes out there that idolize him, I think he loses some of that power and that panache.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't have that connection just based on your little blog. Obviously, that's why he deleted it. He's not getting enough play on Fox. And sure, they can get, like a lot of regular Trump supporters can get his message, on any number of different white supremacist, message boards and stuff like that. But it's not the same as Twitter. Telegram is not the same as Twitter, basically. Yeah. By the way, you mentioned his health, so I'm just gonna briefly jump ahead to that. Omarosa, former Trump aide, who's now been freed from her NDA, said recently that Trump, quote, won't be healthy enough for a 2024 run. She is implying that she knows things about his health that are not made explicit. Last month, Trump said that the only thing that would stop him from running would be a, quote, bad call from a doctor. I think I get sort of what he means, but I doubt like his calls with the doctor now are positive. Like he was a wreck before he got COVID. Like what is the state of insight? If you were to peel him open, what's even left in there at this point?
It reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns goes to the doctor and they're like, Mr. Burns, you have every illness. You even have like childhood smallpox. Like it was like he had everything. And he's like, but amazingly, and they have a little bunch of toys getting stuffed through a doorway. And they're like, but they're all jammed in there. So somehow he's all indestructible.
Yeah.
So that's
true.
Trump is an older man and he does not take care of himself. I'm not wishing him ill in any way. His health is his health, but it is normal to have health issues getting into your, late 70s. And so.
Yeah, or your mid 30s like me. Yeah, it's natural. It's not about me or my choices, it's expected.
A bad call from a doctor. He pays doctors to write this down. I am the most healthy man in the world.
Very good call. It's the best call, the perfect call. Anyway, really fast. Let's show this video of Omarosa. I haven't seen this yet. Maybe she'll be more specific. Let's see.
She won't.
Rev, you've been saying this from the beginning, that Donald Trump was dangerous, his rhetoric was dangerous, and we can see the results of that in this poll, that people are actually believing his lies. And I think going into 2024, I'm really more concerned about the fact that Donald Trump hasn't come forward and talked about his health. I don't know if he will even be healthy enough to run in 2024, and I think he needs to come clean to the American people about where he is on that before deciding to get into a very stressful and strenuous race for the White House.
Yeah, it's a lot, and he's old. He's 6 years older than he was when he first ran. He's gonna be 2 years more older. How many do you think he has? And he's likely suffering from long COVID. We're gonna cover long COVID more tomorrow, by the way, which we're finding out is worse and worse.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are gonna have to hold him up as he slowly walks down the ramps this time around?
I hope there's no ramps in his future. Poor guy, can't take him.
Yeah.
I knew Omarosa wouldn't have anything to say. She's not in the in crowd anymore. I don't know what she really knows, or if she really knew anything. Sure. It's just general knowledge to know that somebody's an older man who doesn't take care of himself and eats hamburgers all day is not going to be in great health.
You're totally right. Yeah, I mean, the Hamburglar was a relatively young man, and I don't know how he'd last on the campaign trail.
He was only 25.
Was he really? Yeah.
Hamburglar?
Anyway, was he?
Oh,
okay, I didn't know that. You know more of the Hamburglar lore than me.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. With that, let's see. I'm gonna read just a quick message or two, and then we got some more stuff to get to. Lynn Jaskowiak. Lynn Jaskowiak. Thank you for becoming a tier 1 member. I assume you just canceled it because of my butchering of your name, but I appreciate the brief time that you remember. Finally, Stars View sent in a super chat saying, I have questions for Matt Gaetz on why we would not want a virtual currency track. See Fine Trafficking Act he voted against. I am not familiar with that, but thank you for bringing it up. Okay, with that,
that's DeSantis' son's going to be the new Matt Gaetz.
Oh God, he has. Oh yeah, well eventually. Oh my God, can you imagine? Like we have these trolls now. Can you imagine like the conservative trolls of 20 years from now? I'm gonna be in a cab with
or the conservative pandemic babies who've never been to public school and have never
have no immunizations. They just spread disease everywhere they go. Anyway, okay. With that, let's talk about this. At least I can't say that this person agrees politically with that, but let's talk about some of what's become quite common over the past year or two as we jump into this video.
Stay away from the other people. You hear me? If you stay in the church, get out. Do that again, I'll kick you out myself.
Okay, there are hands-off guards, and then there's that guard. So what you had there was a Karen, and we'll have details for you, but getting in someone's face, mask off at a hospital, like the last thing that you want. And look, obviously I find this compelling, but the particular subgenre of Karen videos that I find most interesting are the different responses. How do you manage the Karen? And that is about as aggressive, non-violent, no physicality, nothing like that. That's as in your face shutting down a Karen as I've seen. What do you think about that strategy?
That reminded her of a Theo that yelled at her like when she was 8. Like that just sat her in her chair and she was like, sorry, Theo, like that was it.
Should he have thrown a flip-flop or something?
No, like no chanclas, no chanclas. She didn't need it, she sat right down. But I like he didn't have his mask on either. He was like, I'm yelling your mouth.
Oh my God, you're right. I didn't even notice that in all the excitement. He should be setting an example and wearing a mask,
I think he just needed her to sit down. He was in dad mode and he was regulating. Frankly, some of those emergency rooms get a little wild. So I'm glad that he's there. I'm not a fan of violence, but I want to tip my hat to Karina, the famous Karen slapper in Arizona. That was well deserved, and that still by far is my favorite way to deal with the Karen. That woman deserved it because she touched her first. Yes. I follow Karina on Instagram. She's amazing, and it's the anniversary. The 1-year anniversary was like a couple of weeks ago of the slap heard around the world. So I'm glad this Karen didn't need to be slapped and didn't get slapped. Wasn't physical at all, but I mean, someone needs to sit some of these people down.
That is true, and he did sit her down. So
he did.
That video was posted by Grant Kinsey 3 on TikTok. And Grant also uploaded a video explaining some of the context of it. So you should definitely go to Grant Kinsey 3 on TikTok to see that. Very briefly, I wanna let you know that this apparently happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Grant says it happens a lot there. Grant is apparently a pharmacist or works at a pharmacy and says, look, people are on edge and people have been given a lot of license to act out in bad ways under the auspices that makes you Captain America or something. But anyway, Grant said, all of a sudden I'm sitting there on my phone. This woman just comes back. I think she's going out to have a smoke. The woman in the pink, and she walks by the girl sitting down and then turns around. The girl didn't say anything because I think she was talking to the girl next to her, maybe not even talking to the girl in the pink. And then the girl in the pink just starts getting in her face over nothing, literally nothing, just yelling and screaming. And the good result of this is the guard wasn't violent, which is good. Yeah. I fear that sort of aggressive response could face violence. But Grant says that the woman who was initially yelling looked like she was about to attack or be attacked by the first woman, and this did successfully shut it down.
Yeah.
So this seems like it accomplished its mission.
I actually think yelling was probably best thing to do there, because if he had just kicked her out, that might have escalated the situation. I don't want to go, and then it would have had to get physical. So anytime you can avoid any physical altercation, it's best.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing we're waiting for is a guard like that wearing an "I wish a Karen would" shirt. That's what I'm waiting for. That would be awesome.
That guard needs to become a cop. How about that?
Yeah.
That's how you can handle people without killing them.
That is a good point. I cannot vouch for everything about that guard. I just like the way he handled that one Karen. I'm not gonna say he's great. I don't know, maybe he is. Anyway, okay, we have only a few minutes left. I do wanna make sure we get to this. We won't do a cold open. Thank you for the note. I'm just gonna launch into it. It's really unfortunate. Let's talk about this. Oh, we don't have one because we're gonna do that. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for covering for me, I apologize. So there is a big statue, a 10-foot statue of George Floyd in New York City's Union Square. It had been there for 2 days before it was vandalized. Someone apparently came with a bunch of paint and splashed it on a memorial to the man who was brutally, needlessly killed by cops. You can see here a photo of it. Gwen Hogan on Twitter posted it, and you can see the paint running down both the bust of him as well as the stand that it's on. That's the second time that it's been defaced. On June 24th, 5 days after it was displayed in Brooklyn, the sculpture was vandalized with black paint and tagged with an alleged logo for a white supremacist group. This is just one memorial, by the way, that has been vandalized. Several others have been, like for instance, you have murals in Rochester, in Minneapolis, Houston, Portland, as well as other cities have been defaced. It's just
they had to make
the
plaque about Emmett Till. They had to make it bulletproof.
Yeah, it had been shot so many times that eventually, it was replaced with one that hopefully will stand up to the bullets of racists better.
I mean, this is what we're gonna expect. This happens. They're just monuments, and we know that ideology is under attack anyway. I'd rather them hit a monument. Go do that to a monument, then fine.
We'll clean it up. It just makes me feel like the fact that we had a year of protests. And coming out of it, effectively nothing at the national level was done. There were some reforms, states and localities, a few, but basically nothing at the national level. There was supposed to be this bipartisan thing with Tim Scott that didn't turn out to be anything. And so at least coming out of it with people having learned something would be great. But no, like with the pandemic, let's not forget that Fox spent months and months and months driving people insane over this, convincing them that those advocating for the cops to not murder people are the true terrorists.
Right.
And so, you have some people who act out in this way, like defacing murals, but you have a lot of people who are more like they have a heart, like a more crystallized racism than they did before this once in a generation opportunity to finally learn something, to have a reckoning on race. Our country, I think, successfully warded it off, and that is unfortunate.
There's a lot of change happening in this country in regards to monuments. We're seeing a lot of Confederate monuments coming down. So we're going to see some backlash. And you know what? What this allows us is to still see that this is an issue that is important to people on both sides. Not to quote that person, but we know that if you don't like something, and we still need to fight for it then. If you're still attacking a statue, you're attacking the ideology, and we still need to fight for it. So, la lucha sigue. To quote it again.
Thank you. And thank you for playing the video there. It seems like that's enough to find out who this person is and have some sort of legal action, or at the very least, like, I keep hearing we live in a country that's overrun by cancel culture. I don't see it, but I hear it. This dude deserves some strike back, at least socially, if not legislatively. I imagine that it's got to be illegal. Think about how racist you have to be to do that in bright daylight, knowing people could be watching you. I have to deface this. I can't take seeing this man, this victim's face.
Yeah.
God, just disgusting. Anyway,
under attack.
As always, Viviana, I apologize for ending on a down note, but it as always is great to have you here. Tell people where they can follow your work. Until next time.
You guys can follow me on Instagram, Viviana Vigil _. You can check me out on Twitter, Viviana Vigil. You can check out my show, Contextualize This, and lots of other stuff that I do. And I really appreciate you having me today, John. I don't think it's a down note, because it just reminds me that we need to keep fighting for what's right in this country, and we will never forget George Floyd and what he died for, essentially. So we'll be there for you.
You turned it back around. And I appreciate you being here. It's always a pleasure. And have a good one. And for those of you at home, thank you for watching. It's the start to what is going to be a big week. Will we have an infrastructure bill? Will the debt limit be increased? Stay tuned to find out. Will democracy actually function? Maybe. We'll find out together. But until next time, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you soon.